Welcome to the Allison Lambatis Show, a podcast to help women discover and rediscover their style and confidence. I'm Allison Lambatis, and I'm so grateful to have you here. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Lena, a library director in her 30s living in Alberta, Canada. Lena wrote into the show saying she lacks the confidence to pair up some of the more unique items in her wardrobe, despite them being statement pieces that she's drawn to. During our conversation today, Lena shares how she felt lost in the woods with her style post-pandemic and maternity leave, how her librarian training is helping her to curate her wardrobe, and she even turns the tables on me to ask for my thoughts on color analysis and dressing for your color season. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please take a moment to do it now. I've got an incredible lineup of episodes for you in the coming weeks, and I don't want you to miss a thing. If you enjoyed listening to the show, I would be so grateful if you would take a moment to rate it and leave a review. I know it seems like a silly thing, but your rating and review really do help, especially for new shows like this one. We're going to chat with Lena shortly, but first, will you join me and my producer, Lauren, for a coffee chat? First, we're going to have a little coffee chat. Welcome back to the show, Lauren.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. I am loving your puffy sleeves today. You always do such a good job with your statement looks.
Thank you. I actually put the shirt on.
It's very signature Allison.
It is. And I was like, how many puffy sleeve shirts do I actually have? Am I going to have enough for all of the podcast episodes? It's a problem. I'm telling you, it's a problem.
How many puffy sleeve shirts is too many? And when do we require an intervention? These are the questions on our minds today.
Yes, they are. And I'm just going to say that if I have to allow myself anything in life, it's going to be all the puffy sleeve shirts that I want to indulge in because I wear all of them. So
you do you, boo. So if puffy sleeves are your signature look, I am curious to know, do you have a signature scent? How do you smell today, Allison?
Ooh, this is a good question. I think I smell good today. It's funny because sometimes I have to ask myself, do I want to wear perfume today? Because I'm not actually leaving the house. Like today I'm recording podcasts, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, no, I'm wearing perfume for me today. So I had to say, I don't have a signature scent. Over the past few years, I wore Flower Bomb, but I just changed things up recently. I love all of Jo Malone's scents, and I have multiples of those. But for the past 6 months or so, I've been alternating between 3 YSL scents: Black Opium, which is my favorite. And then I recently added in Libre and Mon Paris, which is what I'm wearing today. And it's more of like a feminine scent. I don't know if anyone else does this or if you do this, but I match my scent to my outfit. It's weird, I know. Like,
that's so clever.
Yeah, sometimes I'm looking at the Black Opium bottle. I'm like, ooh, this outfit feels like a Black Opium outfit. And today I went with the Mon Paris because I felt like this was like a more feminine looking shirt, and it's just a lighter, like it's even pink in the bottle. So I don't know. It's just one of my weird little quirks.
Very nice.
Do you have a signature scent, Lauren?
I do have a signature scent. So in my early 20s, I spent 3 weeks in Europe with a bunch of partying kids. We did a bus tour around Europe, and one of the stops on our tour, we went to a perfumery in France, and we were early 20s. We were all broke. We just dropped money. We did not have to tour Europe for 3 weeks. At the gift shop in the factory, they had these little sample packs where you could pick 3, 4 different scents, small size bottles. And I'm sure they had groups like this through all the time because they specifically came and said, if things are out of your price range, you guys can, 4 girls can get together, each pick a scent, and then buy the box, split the cost, and then you each get one little sample bottle. Which I was like, well, that sounds like a great idea. And that sounds like a great souvenir to bring home for my trip. So I bought a little bottle of this perfume from this. I have it. I have a sample. This is not the same bottle, but I brought a little prop here so you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And I had that as part of my little perfume stash in my 20s and my 30s, along with other scents. So I kind of had three main ones plus this one that really held a special place in my heart from France. So my three main go-tos were She by Alfred Sung. I loved Givenchy by Givenchy. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. And then Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker. So those three, along with my favorite France perfume, were kind of my go-tos for a lot of years. And then, honestly, I'm going to say maybe in the last like 4 years or so, I kind of had that like burn the nice smelly candles, use the good dishes moment when it came to my perfume. Because I would wear it, but very sparingly. I'd wear it like on our anniversary or on a date night or my birthday, like, you know, special occasions. And I just had this, I don't know, this moment where I was like, you know what? I love this perfume. And I also love the idea of having that signature scent. One of my dear friends, her mother always wore this same tea rose perfume. And to this day, anytime that I smell rose or tea rose, I think of her. And so I thought, you know, I'm switching perfumes all the time because I like all these different scents. But what an amazing, like almost emotional connection to associate a smell with a person. So honestly, once I finished the rest of my bottles of everything else, I didn't restock them. And now I only buy this. And it's so the name of the parfumeur is called Fragonard. And this is their signature brand scent called Fragonard. And it's so amazing. It smells so good. I put it on every day now. It is absolutely a splurge. And it's also an easy default gift for my husband. Like anytime my birthday or Christmas or whatever's rolling around, I'll just kind of shake the bottle and I'll be like, getting low. And then he knows exactly what to buy. So that makes life real easy for him. And I was actually looking up this perfume this morning in prep for, I knew we were going to talk about this on today's show, because I wanted to look up what are the notes of this perfume. And the base notes of it are woods, amber, and musk. The top notes are bergamot, mandarin, petite grain, and galbanum, whatever that means. And then there's some floral heart notes in the middle, hyacinth, lily, honeysuckle, and jasmine. So I'm looking this up on the web today, on their website, and I see this little line on the website. We are discontinuing the Fragonard fragrance as you know it. And we only have limited stock left. So that is my crisis of the day.
Buy it up.
As soon as we are done here, I am going online and I'm going to order as much of it as I can. So anyways, it says a new version will be launched in 2024, but I don't know if it's going to smell exactly the same or not. So I'm going to stock up. But yeah, that has been my journey to my signature scent and kind of the thinking behind it. I definitely wore some other things in like high school and that growing up. Did you have different scents you wore in high school as well?
Yes. Oh my gosh, they were so bad. I think the first perfume I remember buying was in like in 8th grade and it was Exclamation. I don't even know if you know about this one, but this was an 80s thing. Have you heard of Exclamation?
Was it like a white circle and then the black exclamation was like the top of the bottle? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. I think their slogan was make a statement without saying a word. Well, yeah, you could, because people could smell you coming, because it was super sweet and just super strong. It was so bad. And I think as I got older, and I probably just bought that because like all my friends were wearing it at the time. It was like the thing to wear, right? But I love how you said like your tastes evolve over time, right? And you start to associate certain scents with certain things, and our sense of smell is so strongly linked to memory. And I was thinking about this last night, how my grandmother wore Liz Claiborne perfume all the time, and now like that's one of those core memories that I have about her, and that's what she asked for Christmas every year. And I remember wearing Liz Claiborne in high school too, and I wore Guess perfume. I wore Ane, which was kind of like a very classic, very light scent. My mom wore Giorgio Beverly Hills. Remember the designer Imposters? Did you have that in Canada? And I think that it was called Primo, like the fake one and the spray. We didn't have Axe spray back then, but it was kind of like the similar thing where it was like the imposter scents. Those were a really big thing when I was in high school. But I wore Sunflowers in college by Elizabeth Arden. That was a good one. And then I tried CK1 again because like all my friends were wearing it, and I wanted to be like my friends. And I remember buying a bottle of that and I was like, I can't do this. I ended up giving it away to one of my friends because it was just, it was not working.
It was not a keeper, not a keeper. I remember CK1 being popular when I was in high school, early high school, which kind of tracks with our age gap between you and I. CK1 was popular. J-Lo, like a lot, I feel like that's, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's when a lot of like the, you know, the superstars, J-Lo and Britney and all of the celebs were coming out with their like brand scents as well. I'm just trying to think. For me and my friends, I remember, and again, this is like, you're grade school and high school, you don't have many. I don't know if this was popular in the States. This might be one of those conversations where you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It was really popular. It was called Calgon Body Mist. Did you guys have this down in the States?
I vaguely recall this. Yeah.
So Calgon Body Mist, and it was like you could buy it at the drugstore or Walmart. So that meant, it was affordable for high school age girls. And they had a ton of different scents. And most of the time, like we do, each girl would be like, oh, this is my favorite scent. So you would know, oh, that's Stacy's favorite scent. And this is the one that, Sydney wears or whatever kind of thing. And my scent was always turquoise seas. A lot of girls were into the Hawaiian ginger scent. Vanilla was another really popular one. And again, I was looking these up because I was trying to remember the names of them all. I looked them up online and it looks like, I think they're actually like rebranded and they're bringing them back into stores now. So if anyone remembers the Calgon Body Mist days and you want to relive your youth, we'll do the best to link whatever we can. Some of these scents may not exist anymore, but we will definitely link what we can for you in the show notes at AllisonLabatis.com/podcast.
Yes, and if you have a signature scent that you wore in high school that we didn't mention, or if this sparks some nostalgia for you, please let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. I loved taking a trip down memory lane and looking up all of these old perfumes and also remembering some of the terrible scents that came along with them.
That's right. Signature scents are not always good. They can be bad memories as well. So yes, I can't wait to hear what everyone's memory lane scents are like. All right. Are we ready to dive into your chat with Lena today?
Yes, I am super excited to talk with her. And now here's my chat with Lena. Hello, Lena, and welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here today and talk a little bit more about your style struggles. But first off, would you mind just giving us a quick little intro and letting us know who you are?
Sure. I am a librarian by training, but I'm a library director of a small town library in northern Alberta. And I have a 3-year-old son, which is the source of many of my style struggles.
That totally makes sense. I saw your pictures of him and he is beautiful. He has the most beautiful eyes. I had to add that in there, but yeah, so a librarian, I'm sure you love lots of books. That goes without saying, right?
For sure. I love your book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That is, thank you. I hear from people a lot of times that they're finding my book in libraries, and that makes me so incredibly happy. That's like the first thing I tell them if they say, I want your book. I'm like, go check your library first. You might find it there. You might get lucky. And you can also request it and get it in your library. So
very true.
Yes, good to know. All right. Well, I reviewed the notes that you sent over before we talked today. And I noticed that one of the biggest struggles that you noted is that you have been working on pairing up your clothes this past year, but you feel like there's some items in your closet that they're just not getting the love and you're not getting enough wear out of those. So can you tell me a little bit more about some of those pieces?
Yeah, the problem is I love them, but I don't often know what to put them with. So I guess the two of the pieces that I'm really curious about, one of them's a long blue and white cardigan. There's something about that blue and white, almost Delft pattern. You know what I'm talking about? The like China. It's on some types of China. Yeah, that blue and white pattern. I love that pattern. And I've just really struggled because it is that longer cardigan. That style seems to have gone out, but I just love the piece so much that I've been struggling with. What do I pair it with? Do I pair it with a skinny jean? What do I wear underneath? Do I wear a tank top? Do I wear a t-shirt? Everything just looks a little off with it, but I love the piece. I really want to keep it in my wardrobe. And that's been the struggle.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think that along these same lines, you also shared that you feel like you have a few unique pieces, and these are also items that you sort of struggle with. Is this one of those items, or what types of pieces are those?
Yeah, that is one of those items. Strangely, often seem to be from Anthropologie. I think I love the clothes, but then I don't have anything in my wardrobe that goes with them. And maybe that's because it's kind of an aspirational piece for me in some ways. And then also I'm so in some ways limited by climate. I live in Alberta, Canada. It is very cold here. We just had like a foot of snow overnight. So one of the pieces I struggle with is this beautiful blue lace top that has a matching camisole underneath, and it's got kind of like a scalloped edge. And I think it looks great with white pants or like a white skirt or something like that. But my opportunities to wear those pieces are so limited. Our summer is so short and the good weather doesn't stay for very long. So that's another struggle.
So I'm hearing some climate related struggles. I'm also hearing some struggles related to kind of those statement pieces that you're very drawn to, but maybe aren't able to pair them up in as many ways as you would like. That also totally makes sense. I think a lot of us can definitely relate to those struggles. So what would you say right now is working about your clothes and your style?
I think I've done a good job of doing a lot of research over the past year about how to pair proportions and colors. I think I came back from my maternity leave in 2022. We're very lucky in Canada. We have we get 18 months, up to 18 months if we want. But then also I was pregnant during the whole pandemic and working from home. So I feel like I came back from 2 years of being away and I didn't even recognize the clothes that were in stores. Like that very big silhouette was in. And I remember a girl at Anthropologie put me in this oversized dress shirt. And I was like, what is this? I cannot wear this. Looks like a lab coat. So I just thought, oh my gosh, like the world has turned and I just don't know where I am fashion wise. So I really spent the past year looking at like what looks good on me, what makes me feel confident, what colors am I wearing? So for example, today I'm wearing like a brown jacket and a black shirt. I had this old rule in my head that brown and black didn't go together. And that turned out to be really false. And so just prepare, what am I trying to say? Pairing my clothes in different ways than I would have thought of before and help me identify where some gaps were in my wardrobe too. So I was able to do some strategic shopping. I think I'm still struggling with pants. And I think that's where these pieces come in, is that long kind of oversized cardigan that like goes to my mid thigh. What pants do I wear that with that doesn't look sloppy? Or, I could wear white jeans, but I also have kind of a role that requires maybe a little bit more dressing up than jeans, right?
Yeah, I have to say, I was looking through your photos that you sent to us before the show, and I can see a lot of this experimentation happening, and I can also see you getting to know the pieces that work well for you over time. I looked at them in chronological order, and I can totally see you playing around with different silhouettes and experimenting with proportions and with color. And I can even see kind of like the confidence and the smile changing in some of the photos. It's just fascinating and so worthwhile. And I feel like you are already on that journey and understanding what does work well for you. It's just, kind of putting those finishing touches now on the pieces that you want to wear more or that you want to wear differently, and just continuing, to explore, what's working for you at this phase in life. So thank you for sharing that with me, because it does give us kind of that bigger, more cohesive picture going into the conversation. How long would you say, you've kind of been struggling a little bit with style, and when did you first start to realize that this was something that you wanted to start trying to figure out?
Honestly, I don't think I struggled with style at all before I had my son. I love clothes. That is my problem. I've deeply related to a lot of the things you've said in your workshops and the resources you've made available to us, because I felt I have too many clothes. That is the problem. And those unique pieces get overlooked and not paired with anything because I feel like I can't find anything, even in this immense wardrobe. But I never really struggled with style. I always had the things I liked and I felt like I had good outfits. And then, like I said, taking that break, it was almost like a break from fashion where I wore maternity clothes and then you still kind of wear the maternity clothes for a while and then you get tired of them and then nothing fits. It's like, all I have left are my leggings and sweatshirts and what do I wear? So I really think I struggled through 2022 to the beginning of 2023. That year was just like a lost in the woods sort of year. And then in 2023, I got on some subreddits about fashion. There's this great one called Fashion Women's 35, which was all women 35 and over talking about these struggles of having a more work appropriate wardrobe while also really keeping your personal style and the things that you love about your clothes in mind. And that really helped me think through what's the statement I want to make? What are the pieces I love and why do I love them? I think my wardrobe reflects a whole journey, right? The necklace I'm wearing today is from when I lived in Spain. And for me, those pieces are so important to keep and highlight regardless of whether style comes in or out, right? But yeah, that year was a real struggle. So it was about a year ago now that I started using an app to keep track of what I was wearing and what I had and didn't have. And it was a task to take a picture of everything in my wardrobe, but it was a worthwhile exercise because I was like, if I don't want to take a picture of it, why is it in my wardrobe?
I love that. It's such a good litmus test, isn't it? Yes, it helps to kind of eliminate the noise in your wardrobe and get rid of the things that aren't important enough to take the photo. So I also love how you shared that, your choices now are more intentional, they're meaningful. And I think that that's something that a lot of women don't fully understand about personal style. It is supposed to be personal. It's not just about seeing someone else's outfit that you like and then copying that, but really just applying the elements that feel like they're totally right to you and that they reflect who you are. And again, like as I'm going through your photos and looking at your journey, I can see that. I can see that happening and I can see those pieces that you're pulling out that really do have a deeper meaning. So kudos to you for that. I think sometimes that's hard to do, isn't it?
It is. And I think something I was going to say that is maybe a little joke here is I announced already at the beginning that I am a librarian, and we have a technique in libraries called weeding, where we weed out the books that might still be good, but they haven't circulated in 5 or 10 years. And so this past year has been really a weeding of my wardrobe and thinking about why does something look good on me or why not. So for example, I had this really cute leopard print dolman style top and I tried it on. Every time I wear it, I feel like something is not working about it, but I feel like it doesn't suit my figure somehow. Like it sits at the wrong place on my hips and I just don't feel comfortable in it. And so out it went. I weeded that shirt. I have a little folder on my style app called Weeding. That's where I put all the things I got rid of this year.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. I think we can all use that tip. We'll be definitely doing some weeding as we're heading into spring here, I'm sure.
Spring weeding. It's a good time for it.
Yes, it is. It's the perfect time. My husband just did that all weekend.
I think another big piece for me has been color. I find the monochrome look it looks so good on Instagram, but I find it so uninspiring in my daily life, even though I am kind of monochrome today. But I think once I accepted that color is who I am, I really had so much more fun with my clothes. And I remember I was debating in the fall about whether I should buy this long orange blazer. I think it was one of the outfits I actually sent you. I was debating whether to buy it. And then I saw my organization was working with a consultant. She's a librarian in her 70s and she's always dressed amazingly. And she has like a short gray bob and she came in wearing this purple blazer. And I just thought, oh my God, that looks so good on her. And I thought, okay, I'm buying the orange blazer because it doesn't matter what the cut is. That color is going to look fantastic on me. I'm going to be able to wear it forever. And sure enough, every time I wear that blazer, I get compliments right away.
It's beautiful. Good choice. I love it. It's a signature piece, but yet it's something too that is kind of like you said, one of those classic items. You're going to be able to wear that, year after year and get so much use out of it. And I can see those signature pieces that keep showing up and understand why sometimes it might be frustrating for you when you bring one of those into your wardrobe that does feel like it's so you, but you're also wanting to get a little bit more use and wear out of that as well. So I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about your style story. You did share that, up until the birth of your son, you felt like, style was pretty easy for you. But for those who aren't familiar with the show format yet, we usually do this deeper dive where we delve into everyone's style story, and we all have one. So these are the experiences that we've had, the clothing choices that we've made, and the messages, honestly, that we've heard around style from childhood all the way through adulthood, both from our own choices, but also from the rules that we seem to have had imposed upon us. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about your style story and some of the style role models. You mentioned the librarian you work with, which obviously is one of those, but who were some of your style role models growing up?
Growing up, it was definitely my Oma. That's the German word for grandma. We were so close with her. She passed away in 2017, which was quite a blow to our family, but she was almost like a third parent, and she loved clothes. We are talking about such a stylish woman. She had fur coats in the 60s and 70s. She had dresses custom made, and she had all these things. She'd gotten rid of the fur coat because she felt bad about that. She didn't want to wear real fur anymore, but she had all these custom pieces she would let us try on and play with as kids. And if I dressed up nicely, she would just go, "Oh, Lena, I love that." And she would pet my clothes. And, it became we would dress up for Christmas because Oma would be there, and, she would notice. And, she never said anything disparaging about our clothes. She just, if the color looked good on you or the cut, she would go, "Oh." And when she was in her late 70s or early 80s, she actually loved to go to the United States to buy clothes. That's where she got most of her stuff from. She loved Jones, New York, and all that stuff. But she had bought this beautiful cashmere cardigan. And I said to her, it was that blue Delft pattern that we talked about earlier, blue and white. And I said to her, "Oma, if that cardigan goes missing in the middle of the night, you know what happened to it. It's in my closet." And she just laughed. And when she became very ill towards the end of her life, she said to me, "I want you to have that cardigan." And I have that cardigan. When I wear it, it just feels like a big hug from her. And people love that cardigan too. And I've worn it through such important moments. I wore it to my son's 3rd birthday, right? So it's been exciting to find more ways to wear those meaningful pieces like that cardigan. And I feel really grateful that I had such a stylish Oma that I can wear. I actually have quite a few pieces in my wardrobe that I inherited from her.
Wow. What an amazing role model. Oh my gosh. She sounds incredible. And just the words of affirmation that she gave around style and just spreading that. And I mean, just seeing her legacy living on through you is so beautiful. And I love that you have some of her pieces. That is so cool.
Yeah, actually, one of the pictures I sent you is the teal shirt with this jacket over top. That was one of her shirts. But yeah, my first cashmere piece I ever got was from her closet. So
were there other style role models that you had?
Growing up, my dad is also a real fashion guy. He has so many clothes, like probably too many clothes. He also loves shopping in the States. This is a big problem. They go down there and the TJ Maxx is too exciting. We don't have anything like that here, but
I can relate.
I mean, we give my dad a little bit of grief, but what I really admire about him is he has such a strong personal style. I feel for men, I feel like they're very constrained by fashion rules, even more than we are. Like, we think we have fashion rules. I mentioned one earlier, not wearing brown and black, but with men, it's so many rules that gets to the point of almost boring, right? Or it can be, especially if someone isn't willing to experiment. And I think they often get made fun of if they do. And we did make fun of my dad, but in a very loving way. And so he would wear like a lilac colored polo with these lilac plaid shorts, like plaid golf shorts. And we'd be like, "Oh, Dad, like you look like the Good Humor Man or something, but actually the color looked great on him. And he has great clothes, and he's my Oma's son-in-law, but he's almost kind of inherited that mantle of noticing people's clothes and commenting on them and complimenting. And something else I was going to bring up that it was maybe kind of a funny observation is my dad used to be an Elvis tribute artist just for fun. He never did it professionally, but he had a real job. But actually my son is super into Elvis, like super into it. And I really feel in a strange way, we were at a big Elvis festival this summer, and in a strange way, it was like that spirit of Elvis gives men permission to have self-expression. Like there were all these men wearing these fancy suits or bowling shirts or Hawaiian shirts and all this color. And my dad has never shied away from that. But I feel like among Elvis people, he's with his people because that's kind of a way to express themselves and have permission to do so. So yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
That's such a cool observation. Yes, it's fun to dress up in the costumes and be someone else. And yeah, it's funny. I got a DM from a guy on Instagram this morning, and he was watching one of my videos about, I think it was about cleaning out your closet, but he was talking about how men just don't have the same kind of opportunity to, like you shared, to be creative with their clothes. And I just thought it was such an interesting observation that, there's opportunity in there, I think, for sure. And I love that your dad embraces that.
One of my friends who's queer said, Elvis impersonation is like straight man drag. I was like, there's something to that, right? But yeah, my dad's been a very flamboyant, confident dresser. He was also the executive director of a not-for-profit, or it was a for-profit organization at the time, but he worked in social services. So I feel like I have a similar role in libraries. We often talk about vision and strategy together. And so we kind of have to have the wardrobe for that. Like he had his executive director wardrobe and then, his golf wardrobe, which was the purple shirt and purple shorts. But he always has a sense of himself in his clothes. I really admire that.
I love that so much. Such amazing role models. So I'm going to ask this question, but I'm kind of assuming the answer already. But did you have any rules in your house when it came to clothing or style?
Yes, we did. And I reflect on this now. My mom had a very different body type than me growing up. She is very slim, small chested, not curvy. I have an hourglass figure, full bust. I came of age in the late 90s, early 2000s when it was all about the like low-rise pants and the belly shirts. And I was absolutely not allowed to wear those belly shirts. And that was a rule for a really long time. Or two-piece swimsuits, that sort of thing. And I think in retrospect, it might more reflect my mom's uncomfortability with my body than my personal uncomfortability with my body. And, and a desire to protect her daughter from the male gaze, right? As a parent now, I cannot blame her for that, for some of those rules. But it has resulted in me buying my first crop top at age 35 and wearing it to a Hanson concert.
I love that. You're reliving the teen years all around.
Right. But that was fun. I got a pair of high-waisted pants and I wore that little crop top and I felt like $1 million. But, in some ways my body is even less appropriate to wear that fashion now. Like I have the stretched out little mom pooch, but it's like, whatever. I'm going to give that 13-year-old some permission to come out, right?
Oh, I love that so much. Yes, everybody listen to this. Give your 13-year-old permission to play in your clothes, to experiment with styles, to engage in her heart's desire. It is a beautiful thing. And I love how you were able to tie kind of that experience, from your youth to today and know that you have the opportunity to do that now. And I just love that. It's a beautiful thing.
I really regret that the first bikini I bought was for my honeymoon. And I regret that I only bought one. And now when I see people on Instagram, like I have this younger friend who's queer and he's always posting like shirtless pictures. And I'm like, you do that. You have a great body and you need to appreciate it. And I wish I had appreciated mine more. And I'm taking that on now.
Yes, it's so true. And then 10 years from now, you're going to look back on that and be like, yeah, dang.
Yes.
I looked good.
Yes.
I love it. Yes.
I think anybody who gets married, I'm giving them money to buy 2 bikinis for their honeymoon.
It's perfect. It's the perfect wedding gift, bikinis.
Right? Live it up.
Do you feel like you got to explore style a lot as a teen?
No. As a teenager, here in Canada, we have junior high and high school, at least in the part of Canada where I live. So grade 7 and 9. Actually, you know what? I had some opportunities. We were limited by funds. And at the time, at the stores that were available here, when I was a teenager, we did not have a lot of American stores. And my family didn't travel. So the big store to buy stuff from was Gap. And my family for sure could not afford from that. So there was some kind of fast fashion sort of Canadian stores we could buy things from. And I guess my first experimentation with fashion would have been in about grade 6. I still remember the first shirt I bought. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
It was a Northern Getaway shirt with cats on it, like little kittens playing with stuff. And at the time, that was totally me, right? I was a total cat girl, loved my cats. Maybe it's not a surprise that I'm a librarian now, but
Cats and books, you can't go wrong.
cats and books, right? And then after that, through junior high, I guess, yeah, I was able to experiment here and there. Like I said, limited by funds. I also grew a lot in junior high. I reached almost my adult height by the time I was 14, 15. So I just don't remember a lot of my clothes fitting me through that time period. Like I'd buy something and I'd have to buy something new the next year, right? And, we were only allowed one or two pairs of shoes, like one for running, one for dress shoes. I had some like big black platforms that I wore, big chunky platforms. I remember in grade 7 that the outfit that made me feel really special were it was like a baby blue and navy baseball style 3/4 length shirt with like silver numbers on it, like a silver number. And then I had these baby blue cargo pants. And I remember I had to wear solid colored underwear with them. Otherwise they were a little see-through in the bottom. I had to be careful what I paired them with. But I loved that outfit. That would have been probably the year 2000, right? Very on brand. And then in high school, I really loved fashion. And I think my big inspirations were I loved the show What Not to Wear with Stacey and Clinton. Loved that show. I dressed business casual every day in high school. They thought I was the teacher because I was 5'9" and wearing a pencil skirt. My other big style influence back then was I was really into Lord of the Rings. So there we go again with the librarian and the books. And I loved kind of the earth tones, the greens, the burgundies. So I kind of brought those two elements together. It was like Lord of the Rings meets business casual, a dramatic sleeve. I still love a dramatic sleeve. That's one of my weaknesses. Yeah, I love your outfit today.
I totally get it.
Well, and then later on, my husband and I, before we got married, we did flamenco dancing together. I love the fashion of flamenco dance. If I could wear that every day, I would. Like a beautiful bell sleeve, a little bolero jacket, a full skirt, or like a mermaid style skirt. Oh man, if I could get away with it in small town Alberta, I would.
Knowing you, I think there are some ways that you can find elements of that to show up in your daily style. And I love that you said you were kind of doing that business casual thing back in high school. And I just feel like you really nail that. You do such a good job with that now. I can definitely see those influences in your photos as well.
They taught me well, Stacey and Clinton. Although I have liked Stacey's, she's done a lot on Instagram about what rules she doesn't believe should exist anymore. I really do like that, that some of the rules were a bit strict, but I try to think, is this a rule or is this just something that was of the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's one of my favorite follows too.
Yeah, she's so great. I have a question for you, Allison. Maybe this is off topic, but how do you feel about seasons and colors, like finding your color season?
This is such a good question. I get asked this question all the time. I actually just did a video on this the other day, and I personally don't follow it at all because I buy and wear what I love. And I do think that there is a time and place for it. I can see the power in that. And I think that ultimately it comes down to this. If it makes you feel more confident to dress in your color season, by all means, it is worth the effort. But if it's one of those things that's kind of, I find women get a little bit overwhelmed and paralyzed by all the decisions and choices. And when you're looking at all the things that you have to focus on, like, oh my gosh, is this my right color? Is this the piece that's going to fit and flatter me most for my body shape? And there are just so many factors that we take into consideration that at some point it becomes too much. And it can be hard just to kind of take that first small step forward. So that's kind of where I've landed on it. I do think that it's valid. I absolutely, I've delved into it a bit on my own, but personally, I don't follow it. Yet I do get the merits of it 100%.
I used to sell clothing when I was in university. I worked at a Canadian clothing store here called Cleo, and it was kind of a business casual, older ladies type store. And it just drove me nuts when people came in talking about their fashion season and they wouldn't try stuff on I was suggesting because it wasn't their season. But now I have to say I do find it kind of helpful because I have found pieces in my closet that I have been really frustrated with, like, why is this not working? And one of them was like this pale blue sweater from Mex with stripes, pale blue and white. And I just looked at it and I was like, I don't think this is the color for me. I think that is the problem here. And that is in the weeding pile this year.
And I think that's I think a lot of times our intuition knows things too about that. Like, I don't know, this doesn't quite feel right. And it's all about that gut instinct, right? That heck yes, this isn't a heck yes. And sometimes that can have to do with color, but you're right. A lot of people can get kind of like stuck in that box on this has to be the right color. And then they don't look beyond just their color season to see that there are other possibilities out there. So it's something to take into consideration. And if your gut's telling you this is not for you, then put it in the weeding pile.
I like your idea of heck yes and feeling that way about your clothes. I struggle with feeling heck yes about pants. I'm 5'9" and it's a struggle to find pants that are long enough, especially right now. Everything seems to be cropped, and cropped is cute, but when you're very tall, it also looks like your pants are maybe too small for you. And that's why they look like that, depending on where the crop hits, right? So I don't know. How do you feel heck yes about pants?
It's hard. It really is. And the thing about pants is that when you do find the heck yes, that's when you say, okay, I'm going to get these in multiple colors or multiple washes or whatever, because it is so difficult. And this is really probably one of the most frequently, asked questions about style is, where do I start with my pants or my jeans? Because this is the one item that I can't seem to get right. And let me tell you, I completely relate 100% on this. And it is always a struggle. And especially, we have all these new denim silhouettes out now. So you might be out shopping and trying to find, new pieces to add to your wardrobe, or your collection needs updated. And it's just so much trial and error. I do think that online reviews are super helpful. And I love retailers that include people's sizing in the reviews. Like, what is your height? What is your weight? What is your typical size that you wear? So that they're able to give that information. And I can kind of see, oh, this person seems to have a similar body type to mine. So this is something that might work for me. I like to go out to stores that have a lot of different pieces to try on. So a bigger department store, for instance, like a Nordstrom, where you can take multiple different brands and styles into the fitting room to find what works for you. And, I think that even some of the other retailers like, Ann Taylor and Old Navy and stores like that are starting to carry different fits, which is making it easier. But it is just that whole trial and error process. And it changes so frequently. This is a frustration point too, because this is so weird, but I noticed this year when I was shopping that the size that I would normally get last year in the same exact style of pants is now running a size larger on me than the same exact pants I bought last year in the same size. So it seems like the sizing is always moving too, which makes it that much more difficult. All of that to say, I don't have a definitive answer on this, except that it is going to take a lot of trial and error, and it is worth the effort when you do find the pair of pants that are the heck yes. And also to buy it in multiple sizes, because you might go back, or not sizes, but style or colors, because you might go back next year and everything's different. So
yeah,
it's tough. Men don't seem to have this issue because they know, okay, I wear a 34-inch waist and a 34-inch length, and they're basically getting the same thing across retailers and know that this is going to work for me.
So frustrating. I am jealous of them for that. I'm not jealous of their lack of self-expression.
Yes, I guess there's a trade-off in there.
They have too many rules, but consistent sizing. So
absolutely, 100%. All right. So you shared that you've been working on pairing up clothes over the past year, just a few items you can't get enough wear out of. You're find some new ways to wear your unique pieces. And you'd love to have some ideas for the handful of unique but challenging pieces that are making you scratch your head. So we're going to talk a little bit about roadblocks in there and some ways around that. Again, I want to commend you on your experimentation, trying new things. I can see that just educating yourself is paying off, and being in those forums and learning as much as you can about proportions and about what works for you. I really believe that is a big part of everyone's style journey, is just being willing to dive back in there, especially like you said, after a couple years basically off from style, you had to learn to start over again. And a lot of women come to outfit formulas in transition periods of life. I started outfit formulas from a transition period of life where I was working in an office every day to working from home every day, and felt like I had that closet full of clothes and nothing to wear, which is the position a lot of us get in, and then come to the realization that we have to clean out those things that we're not wearing and really just kind of start rebuilding from scratch over time and adding in some new pieces that are working for us. So some of these roadblocks that you did share with us were that you want to wear the clothes you have, but sometimes you buy these things without thinking of ways that they will fit into your wardrobe, and feeling like you lack confidence in pairing them with appropriate items, which you had shared about how you're not quite sure how to wear the oversized items and how the proportions work well with those pieces. Overall, you say you have lots of clothes and you're happy with what you have, but you feel some consumeristic guilt about not wearing some of the pricier things that you're struggling to put into outfits. And your last closet clean out was last year. So everything in your closet fits you now. Everything is also in good condition, and everything in your closet currently serves your daily needs and lifestyle. Would you say all of that is accurate?
Definitely. A couple years ago, I did a big Marie Kondo of my closet, probably 10 years ago, and have kept it up ever since. With the weeding, as I've mentioned, I go through, and because we have such 4 distinct seasons here, it's really easy. I know a lot of people recommend against this, but I do have a summer closet and it's in a different room. And I do swap those items out just because it does get really hot here in the summer. I'm not from Southern United States or some other place. You might laugh at our idea of hot, but it is hot. And we don't often have air conditioning like a lot of places would. It's just not in the infrastructure here. We have a lot of heating, but not a lot of air conditioning. So I do swap those clothes out. And then in the winter, you need those bulkier layers. So they're not really summer transferable necessarily. So, but I take those opportunities to do a good assessment. If everything's still making me happy, is anything yellowing or stained or pilling or, kind of degrading in that way? Did I wear it in the past season? If not, why not? Is it time to send it along to the next person? Something that the consultant who I was telling you about who had the purple blazers, something she was telling me that I think I might start doing with my friends is when we do those closet cleanouts, she would have a big party. All her friends, they would all bring those clothes. They would lay them all out. They'd all bring, I don't know, $10, $20, collect all the money, order dinner, and whatever's left over would go to a women's shelter in terms of the funds that they put in. And then they'd all swap clothes and then donate whatever wasn't taken. And I like that idea a lot.
Oh, it's so good. Yes, pass it on. That is so good. I love that you do this weeding process, because I think that the biggest struggle for most women is really just that big clean out, like you talked about doing, is just getting rid of that initial 80% of the stuff that you're not wearing and getting us down to that 20% that we are wearing. So we know where we're at. So we have to know what we have in order to know what we need. And also it does make it so much easier to do that weeding out process. I do this twice a year now and just kind of get rid of the things that I haven't worn in a while. It's so much more manageable. I can do it in maybe 30 minutes to an hour, as opposed to before it was taking like an entire day, several hours to do it. So I do feel like your closet is in a good place. Normally when I'm doing a coaching session like this with someone, that's the first thing we say is, when was the last time you did your closet clean out? Because if you don't know what you have, you don't know what you need. And also because all of that stuff that's in there is one of the sources of decision fatigue for so many women. We make like 35,000 decisions a day, which is insane. But our closets are creating, a lot of this noise for us and a lot of that clutter. And the fact that you have that summer closet, again, it's like that stuff is out of sight, out of mind when you don't need it, right? And you're not walking in there seeing everything all at once and creating additional noise in your life, essentially. So, but it sounds like you're in a really good place with your closet clean out right now, and also keeping up with that on a regular basis, which again is kind of like the key to keeping it from getting that way again. I always talk about, we moved house almost 4 years ago, and it was such a relief to just let go of so many things. And now I'm kind of at that point again where I'm like, okay, we're not moving house again for a very long time, but we have got to start getting rid of some stuff and donating, passing it on, whatever we need to do, but we're accumulating again. And it happens, it builds up over time. So I do want to talk to you a little bit more about those signature items, but first off, as far as your closet staples are concerned, those classic items that you can wear season after season, year after year, do you feel like you have a pretty good base of the basics right now?
I do. When I look at the Outfit Formulas shopping list, I don't see anything on there that I would emergency have to buy. The one thing I did buy from the Outfit Formulas list was a pair of leopard shoes, because I like how you pair those and I love leopard print. So I got a pair of those, and that seems to help. Actually, shoes were a big thing last year. My feet also got bigger after pregnancy, and none of my shoes fit comfortably. And I just had to invest probably $1,000 last year in boots, runners, flats, like new shoes to fit my feet. And that really made my wardrobe a lot more usable, to have the proper shoes to put outfits together.
Yes. That you got to have the right shoes for your lifestyle. Like, hands down, it's so important.
Yeah. It made the outfits come together better, I think. But I think also last year was such an interesting year to try and experiment with color, because I love color, especially near my face. And I was just really struggling with what kind of bottoms to pair it with. And something that really, this is going to sound maybe so amateur to some people who've spent more time putting outfits together, but I was really struggling with navy, caramel, and yellow. And those three colors go so well together.
They do. Yes. That's a beautiful combo.
Because I had a lot of yellow I really liked, a lot of navy, and I was like, what do I wear this with? But I do feel like I have a lot of basics. I also bought last year, I did a good purchase of like some good white t-shirts, some good black t-shirts, some good, I had a black turtleneck already. These kinds of pieces that could go under jackets or under the nice cardigans I had, like the one I was telling you about from my Oma. So I do feel like I have a good amount of basics now, but that is fairly recent, maybe since the fall.
That's awesome. It's a great place to be. You're hitting the right notes in so many places in, as far as like wearing things that are meaningful to you, really making use out of the pieces that you have. You've got good basics in place. Your closet is in a great place. So now I think that the biggest takeaway I have from our conversation is that it would really be worthwhile for you to carve out some time to play in your clothes and really experiment with those pieces that you love that have so much meaning to you. I think it's important for you to be able to show up in those items. They bring you so much joy and they make you so happy. And you have all of these great stories around them. Even some of the pieces, that you've gotten from Anthropologie that feel like more of those signature items that you're kind of struggling with. It's really about finding new and fun ways to pair those up and paying attention to proportions. You mentioned you had some oversized items and you weren't quite sure how to pair those up. Really, with oversized items, the key to that is balancing out the proportions with them. So if you are wearing something more oversized on your top, then having a slimmer proportion on the bottom half of your body. Or it could be belting items. I saw that you've done this with, oversized ponchos and things where you're belting an item to give your waist some definition and kind of just creating that definition, drawing attention to the areas of your body that you love. Maybe those are the areas where you're wearing the slimmer proportions and balancing things out a little bit with those. But I love Pinterest for this exercise. I understand that you have some items that are so unique that maybe Pinterest isn't going to have a lot of great ideas about it, but you can type in some keywords in there to see some different ways to pair things up and really play with what you already have in your closet, because you have such an amazing foundation of items that I feel like there's so many possibilities in there for you already. It's just a matter of putting them into your regular rotation and being intentional about wearing those items and finding new ways to bring them into your daily life.
That belted poncho was thanks to outfit formulas.
I love it. I love it. Did you have any other questions for me today?
I should have thought of some, because it is so wonderful to talk to you, Allison. You have such an expertise. I've really enjoyed your book. I just got my hands on it maybe 2 weeks ago. It came in from Amazon, and I really appreciate how you break things down in there, the different styles of pants, the different styles of tops. It's helped me have language for some of the issues I'm having in my wardrobe. And it's helping the people I know too. I think I've brought that book to them and I've told them about your outfit formulas, and I've been actually posting what I wear every day on Instagram. I have a closed off Instagram, not interested in large public attention, but it's been interesting to see people's reactions just from my friend circle and my circle of acquaintances, and kind of see like, what outfit do I post does get a lot of attention? And is it because the color is really flattering or the cut is really nice? And which other ones seem like maybe misses? My friends are all very polite, right? Nobody would be like, womp, womp, bad outfit. But you can kind of tell from the reaction.
We all need friends like that. They're going to lift you up, but yeah, they're going to keep it real as well, right? Well, thank you, Lena. This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like you've shared some true nuggets of wisdom that are really going to benefit our community. And I just so appreciate you inspiring me and the Outfit Formulas community too. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.
I would love to hear your thoughts about today's conversation. Did you see yourself in any part of Lena's story? Have the changing silhouette styles in recent years thrown you for a loop? Do you find yourself challenged to style unique things in your own closet? Let's open a dialogue and connect. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube as Allison Lombatis, and I'd love to hear from you. If you share thoughts about your own style story on social media, please tag me. I'd love to see it and cheer you on. Remember, you are worthy, style is a skill anyone can learn, and closet contentment is possible. I believe in you. Thanks for tuning in.